Palestine! Free Palestine!
And a volunteer at BDS South Africa. He was found to group with Africans went to Gaza in 2012 and he has toured parts of occupied Palestine in 2008 and 2013. He's enthusiastic about Palestine and international humanitarian goals. His main aim in life is to try and assist in achieving justice for the oppressed all over the world.
Your attention, please be quiet.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. There is a Palestine that dwells inside us all. A Palestine that needs to be rescued. A free Palestine where all people, regardless of color, religion, or race, coexist. A Palestine where the meaning of the word occupation is only restricted to what is said in the dictionary, rather than the plenty meanings and connotations of death, destruction, pain, suffering, deprivation, isolation, and restrictions that Israel has injected the world with. Rifat al-Arif, Gaza writes back. Respected elders, ulama, brothers and sisters in Islam, today I greet you with the universal Islamic greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It was on May 30th, 2012, when I had embarked on a journey of a lifetime, a journey to Gaza. I went to Gaza with the Al-Aqsa Foundation South Africa, which is now called the Wings of Mercy, Miles of Smiles UK, and Interpel. The name of our convoy was the Miles of Smiles 11, as we were the 11th group with the Miles of Smiles to enter the Gaza Strip as part of a humanitarian aid convoy. Our journey to Gaza was a long one. Our first leg of the journey was from Johannesburg to Cairo. It was in Cairo where our South African delegation had met up with delegations from England, Jordan, and Egypt. We then proceeded on to the next leg of our journey. The 5-hour drive from Cairo to the Egypt-Rafah border crossing. Upon our arrival at the Rafah border in Gaza, we were warmly welcomed by the Palestinian people, and we were then escorted to our hotel. While we were being escorted to our hotel, I was devastated as I saw the state of the city of Gaza. There were ruins of buildings that were bombarded in the 2009 war. This was in 2012, remember that. Those buildings and those ruins were still there. There were parts of the city that had no electricity. And the city had no sewage system, as the sewage system was bombed in 2009. During our stay in Gaza, we had the honor to meet and dine with many Palestinian ministers, including the Prime Minister of Gaza, Sheikh Ismail Haniyeh, who is a Hafiz al-Quran. These ministers had also awarded us with Palestinian-made keffiyehs, scarves, like the one some of you are wearing today, the black and white ones. On our trip, we also visited the police headquarters in Gaza, the Islamic University of Gaza, orphanages, and the Shifa Hospital. Yes, the same Shifa Hospital that we heard on the news that is being bombed every now and then during the current genocide in Gaza. On April 5th, 2012, we had visited the House of Wisdom, where we were given a presentation of the situation in Gaza, and it was also where we, the Miles of Smiles 11, took an oath to create awareness of what is happening in Palestine and in Gaza, and also we were awarded with 2 certificates, both entitled Palestine's Ambassador Certificate, one from the House of Wisdom in Gaza and Africa Humanitarian Aid Organization, and another from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Palestinian National Authority. Both of them expressing their sincere respect and support and gratitude of our support. Our group was the first group to receive such an honor. When we had visited the Shifa Hospital in Gaza, which is the main hospital there, we found that there was a lack of medical supplies, and the medical supplies that they did have were poor. Another problem hospitals in Gaza are faced with are power shortages. These power shortages interfere with the treatment of thousands of patients. While we were in Gaza in 2012, remember this was not when any genocide was taking place, plus minus 2,000 new patients entered the university, entered the hospital on a new day. Each day, 2,000 new patients. They didn't have enough beds. They didn't have enough medical supplies. So what could they do? They had to depend and wait on humanitarian aid. Now imagine if that was in 2012, no daily bombings as heavy and as intensified as they are today. So can you imagine the problems that the hospitals in Gaza are facing at the moment? If then, on a normal day, 2,000 new patients are being admitted, imagine how many are being admitted now during the genocide. While I was there, I had the opportunity to meet the head doctor of the Shifa hospital at the time, Dr. Ayman al-Zahbani, and he had said, each time the Israelis attack, it gets more and more aggressive. He also said that the patients are suffering as once again the power cuts are interfering with their treatments. The poverty in Gaza is just heartbreaking. There are families whose homes are severely damaged and they cannot afford to repay. There are orphans who live in the rubble, in the ruins of the homes in which they once lived. And there are families who cannot afford the basic necessities of life. Part of our journey in Gaza was visiting the homes and the families of Gaza. While we were there, we listened to their stories. We took lessons from what they said, and we tried to assist them in whatever ways possible, including financial ways. Among the homes of the families we had visited was a family where the father and one of the children suffered from the autism spectrum disorder. There were 3 other children in the family under the age of 8. And there was the mother of the family who had to manage the household. The mother of the family had only 1 shekel, which is the currency in Palestine, only 1 shekel in her purse. And from that 1 shekel, she had to feed her family, she had to educate her children, and she had to maintain the household. Even though the people of Gaza have experienced the unimaginable, they do not have the basic necessities of life that we take for granted. They still wake up every morning with a smile on their faces, fighting for their freedom and thanking their Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the gift of life. Even though the people of Gaza are suffering, they are thankful. And we should take it upon us to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what He has blessed us with. When we departed from Gaza, we returned home with many things. We returned home with stories to tell, lessons to pass on, and most importantly, messages from the Palestinian people to share. In Gaza, I learned that I must always have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and no matter what happens, good or bad, I should thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all that He has blessed me with. I also learned to respect and value our families, especially our parents. In South Africa, we are very fortunate. We have good homes, good education, and most importantly, we have peace. And we should be thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what we have before we might lose it. Among all the messages that Palestinians have for the world, I would like to share 2 of them which were personally told to me so that I can share it with the people of South Africa. The first message is, on this land, there are people who deserve to live like the rest of the world. And secondly, the second message is, Israel may cut our power supplies, they may cut our food supplies, and they may even cut our water supplies, but we will not stop. We will continue the resistance and fighting for our freedom. Subhanallah. Those are the messages from the people of Gaza. Look at their spirit, their determination, and their thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. Now a lot of people are wondering, what happened that made Israel intensify its ongoing war with Gaza? We must remember that Israel has been at war with Gaza for a long time now. And what is happening is not a new war. It's still the same war. It's just been intensified. But what happened? Well, the government of the USA and Western media say that Israel is acting in self-defense as they believe that Hamas is attacking the Israelis with rockets. My dear friends, that is incorrect. According to an article by Al Jazeera America, and by the electronic intifada, we learned the reason of Israel's intensification goes weeks back, just after Hamas and the Palestinian Authority formed the unity government. On June 12, 2014, 3 Israeli teens were kidnapped. After the kidnapping, for more than 2 weeks, the Israeli authorities put on a show of looking for these teens. When the abductees were found murdered, the Israeli public was outraged and they demanded vengeance. Shortly after the funerals of these teens, a group of Israeli settlers beat and burned to death a 16-year-old Palestinian, Muhammad Abu Khadir. They beat him and they burned him to death. Can you imagine what that was like? This incident was followed by the brutal assault of Tariq Khadir, a 15-year-old US citizen and the cousin of Muhammad Abu Khadir. This brutal assault was done by the Israeli Defense Force known as the IDF. Another fact that is less known, but perhaps more important, is that within hours of these teens' disappearance, the Israeli officials knew that they were dead. Yet, for the next 2 weeks, these authorities put on a phony rescue effort. They instituted a gag order on the media to prevent the public from knowing the truth. The IDF also launched Operation Brother's Keeper, the most extensive military operation in the West Bank for more than a decade. Israel blamed Hamas for involvement with the kidnappings of the Israelis, but Hamas and its military wing group, the Al-Qassam Brigade, denied any involvement. We later learned that Israel had already identified the prime suspects in the kidnapping. These suspects were a rogue faction with a history of defying the Hamas group, and they also took it upon them. They took it upon them to try and sabotage the peace group efforts that Hamas were making. But instead of going after their prime suspects, Israel took this as an opportunity to end the unity government. They took it as an opportunity to begin their military offense on the Palestinian population of Gaza and the West Bank. This main provocation, among many others, came weeks before Hamas started firing rockets into Israel. As such, contrary to President Obama's claims and the widely held narrative in the Western media, Hamas was actually defending themselves. As of July 30th, the Gaza Health Ministry announced that the death toll in Gaza since the beginning of the latest genocide in Gaza has risen to 1,242 martyrs. Among these martyrs were women, children, and many innocent civilians and journalists from across the globe. Also, 7,020 people were injured. Among the places targeted by apartheid Israel were 133 different schools, 22 healthcare centers, mosques, children's playgrounds, roads, power and water supplies, phone centers, communication centers, and about 8,000 residential homes in Gaza were either partially or totally destroyed by Israeli airstrikes and random attempt shelling. The damages to the only power plants in Gaza are so severe, it is said that it will take up to a year to repair it. Up to a year. So can you imagine, the rest of the year they will not have electricity. The current world superpower, the United States of America, has been a terrible friend. They have been enabling Israel's destructive and self-destructive expansion onto Palestinian land by funding the Israeli military. The Israeli military is the biggest recipient of the US foreign aid in the entire world. But there is another superpower out there who can make a difference. That's you. Yes, you can make a difference. There's a movement with hundreds of thousands of people just like you across the globe, including Palestinians and Israelis, protesting, educating, divesting, and boycotting, all to bring human rights of the Palestinians via non-violent international pressure on apartheid Israel. Throughout history, where the government has failed to push for justice, people like you, people like me, had taken the lead and had won. And now, it's time for the Palestinians to experience freedom and justice. Together, we can pressure the Zionist state of Israel, to end occupation on Palestine, and to end all the discrimination. We want all people, Jews and Palestinians, to have equality, human rights, and democracy, like we have here in South Africa. We can change, we can make history. Join the BDS movement today. When BDS, Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions, first launched in 2005, the Israeli government officials claimed that the BDS movement would have no impact on the Israeli economy. However, by 2009, the Israeli economy started feeling the effect of the global boycott movement. Companies that have been maintaining the Zionist state of Israel are experiencing the BDS onslaught. BDS is using companies where it hurts most, on the balance sheets. Among several BDS success stories, some of the biggest success campaigns of BDS in South Africa include the campaigns of where Regis and Carson Farms both agreed to terminate their relationship with apartheid Israel and also to end the relationship with organizations associated with the Zionist state. The BDS South Africa is currently calling for the boycott of Woolworths, SodaStream, and G4S. So next time you go out shopping with your folks, be sure to do your part and join the BDS movement and boycott Woolworths, SodaStream, and encourage your families, your friends, and all those you know who maybe have their own businesses to terminate contracts that they might have with G4S. Let us stand together, united, in solidarity with the people of Palestine. I shudder to think that all the aid taken in by the Miles of Mercy 11 in 2012 and all other humanitarian groups over the years have been destroyed by the Zionist apartheid Israeli military machine. Inshallah, after this genocide in Gaza ends and the Rafah border is open again, the Wings of Mercy would be like to take a group, and not a group, groups of youth from South Africa and groups of people from across the world into Gaza to assist with humanitarian aid in Gaza. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage you all to contact Auntie Razia Bamath of the Wings of Mercy, or I'm told most of you know her son Muhammad Bamath, or even you can ask me, your Mu'allima Raisa Bamath, for more details on this initiative by the Wings of Mercy. Also, there is a message from those who have returned from Itikaf from Masjid al-Aqsa. They are calling on all Muslims in South Africa and across the globe to go visit Palestine and to visit Masjid al-Aqsa, especially during these times of difficulty. I would also like to request that each and every one of you here pray for all the oppressed people across the world, especially those in Palestine. Currently, I'm a first-year law student at the University of Johannesburg, and I'm the chairperson of the UJ Palestine Solidarity Forum. Now, when we go to campus, it's much more bigger. There are people with different mindsets than you have. There are people who believe that the Zionist state is correct. They believe that it's not an apartheid. And it is therefore your job to join organizations like the VIT-PST or the UJ-PSF or any other solidarity organization on campus. Nearly every campus in South Africa does have solidarity organizations. And if there are no solidarity organizations at a certain university, the MSA, the Muslim Students Association, have and are working on projects for Palestine. So I encourage you all, when you all reach the university level, to join these organizations. And when you go there, you face a lot of difficulties. Personally, within this year, we've faced a lot of difficulties with pro-Israeli Saudi members, where they have come to our events, they have tried to disturb our events, they petitioned against some of our events, they disrupted our events. And they come and they argue and they try and create a scene to chase people away from your solidarity and awareness campaign. So inshallah, when you reach campus and you are all well, then please join the MSA and join the Palestine Solidarity Forums at the respective universities. Jazakallah.
brother Azhar Sakur.
The cries of orphan children are here, not knowing what the future holds. Was the same death. Oh Allah, the sweet sustained death. The cries of fallen children fill my ears. The cries of orphan children are here, not knowing what the future holds. Gaza saved landed. Gaza mudarrajun min al-Shari'un mudarrajun min Allah, Gaza saved landed. Allah, the sweet sustained landed. Widows and mothers cry in despair for loved ones lost in bloodshed, watching and waiting in pain. Gaza saved landed. Widows and mothers cry in despair for loved ones lost in bloodshed, watching and waiting in pain. Gaza saved landed. Gaza mudarrajun min al-Shari'un mudarrajun min The children see a bow in the field of bombs and drones and big boulders, not knowing the boxes they hold as falling into customers. The children see a bow in the field of bombs and drones and big boulders, not knowing the boxes they hold as falling into customers. Gaza mudarrajun bidam'i wal-mawti, shari'un mudarrajun bidam'i wal-mawti. Allah, Gaza saved with blood and death. Allah, the sweet sustained with blood and death. Gaza mudarrajun bidam'i wal-mawti, shari'un mudarrajun bidam'i wal-mawti. And the last part is a bit of a dua, and I want you all to join in if you like. Allah, show us your mercy, Ya Allah.
Palestine! Free Palestine!